My name is Ashley, creator of the Raspy Dispatcher, and in today's video, we're going to talk about the medical and the psychological exam you may be asked to take during the 911 application process. If you have made it to the medical and psychological portion of this process, congratulations. You are so close to the finish line. You can see it. So just hold on a little longer because I know this process has been long and draining, but you are almost there. The medical exam is fairly simple. It typically consists of a physical exam, and it sometimes includes a hearing test, a visual test, and a good old drug test. Yes, you will receive a drug test in this process. So be aware of the department's rules, regulations, policies on drug use. It can be confusing in regards to state law versus what your department is going to allow. So if this is something that concerns you, be educated on what your department is going to be requiring of you in regards to a drug test. So in other words, do not empty your bladder before going into this test, because typically you're gonna have to submit to a drug urination test, and if you don't have anything left in your tank, you might be hanging out an extra while in order to provide that test sample. So fun fact, don't empty your bladder. Hold on, because you're probably going to have to do so throughout this part of the test for that drug test. Honestly, the medical exam, in my opinion, is the easiest part of the process. So relax, settle in, drink some water, and get it done. So let's go ahead and move on to the psychological exam. So I'm going to speak from my personal experience, along with some information that I found on the internet that will help explain the nuts and bolts and maybe some terminology that you're going to come across on the psychological test through this process. I gathered a lot of the information from police1.com if you wanted to deep dive a little more. Again, this video is not to answer every single question in regards to the psychological test. It's really a broad strokes video in order to give you a little information to help decrease your anxiety going into this process, because it's a little out of my scope of practice to understand the reasons, the whys, and whats that the questions are asked and why they ask them. I don't know that. I'm sorry. But I'm going to tell you a little bit what I find on the internet to explain it, as well as my lived experience taking a few of these tests. Now, from police1.com, it states a psych screening test is designed to rule out a significant mental disturbance or personality disorders that would be incompatible with the role of a dispatcher. The purpose of this exam is not to have an in-depth, deep dive investigation into your psyche in order to certify you are a perfection of mental health. That is not the purpose. Rather, they are just looking for normal, not perfection. So the content and manner in which these tests are typically conducted varies widely. But typically, and in both tests that I have participated in, it consists and breaks down into two parts: a standard psychological test and an interview with a psychologist. So let me stop you right there. If you're thinking, I'm going to ask her what kind of questions are asked so I can prepare to answer the questions, how they want me to, I'm not sure. I'm not sure why they ask the questions that they do ask, or why they even ask them. And if I did have that knowledge, I probably wouldn't be doing this job. I'd be doing another job, okay? So again, this video is not to give you all the answers to the questions you're going to be asked through your psychological exam, rather just a broad stroke about what to expect when walking into this test. The questions that I have answered were both given to me via a computer and handwritten or in a Word doc, depending on the agency that I tested with. I answered a lot of questions. It is a lengthy questionnaire, and the questions tend to be asked, it tends to be the same question asked many different ways throughout the entirety of the test. After submitting and answering all of those questions, the information was given back to the psychologist who reviewed my questions and then brought me in for a one on one interview. The interview was not typically very long, 20, 30 minutes, maybe. In my experience, I'm sure there are places that folks have had longer interviews, but my experience, it was about 30, maybe 40 minutes long of an interview process. They'll review the questions with you a bit, ask you some more questions, and try to get a picture to be able to write a report that they will provide the agency of if they believe you are psychologically suitable for this profession. Now, don't ask your psychologist if you pass. They won't tell you. They're going to submit their findings to the agency, who is then going to make a decision if they want to continue and offer you employment or if they're going to fail you out of this portion of the process. Continue to be patient, answer truthfully and honestly, and just do your best. And that is all you can do for this portion of the process. Last thing I'm going to point out, and I get this question a lot, is what should you wear when doing a medical and a psychological exam? And my answer is always business casual to every appointment throughout this entire part of the process because you never know who's going to be there watching you. Don't show up in sweats and a stained t shirt. Always look presentable, even when it's in a medical and especially in a psychological test. Button up, slacks, etc. Be comfortable, be professional. So, that is everything you need to know about the psychological and medical portion of applying to become a 911 dispatcher. If you found any of this information helpful, don't forget to hit that subscribe button, like this video. If you have any questions, feel free to drop them below. I will do my best within my scope of practice to answer what I can for you. Until next time, stay raspy, everybody.